Wow, I didn't unmute before I started the stream. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live, powered by BetUS. Today, we get to talk about some phenomenal playoff action. We have 3 road victories in 3 game ones in the second round. We're going to recap all the playoff action. This has been my favorite playoffs in quite some time. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the harsh reality about Jerami Grant as well. I've been seeing a lot of conversations about potential Jerami Grant trades on the internet. And we're going to have to reiterate a couple things there. Also, Anfernee Simons has been named a name to watch for a particular team that we keep talking about. We'll touch upon that as well. And we're going to take your questions. It'll be a pretty light stream today. Eric, what's going on, man? How's it going?
What's up, Tori? How are you? How's everyone in Chatland tonight?
I'm doing good. Chat, let me know what you did this weekend. Before we start things off, we said every Monday that we were going to recap mine and Eric's Rec League game from the Saturday before that. So, Eric, do you want to recap what happened on Saturday in our Rec League game?
Oh, sure. We remember that game where we played the Grizzlies early in the year with when they had I forget what what was his name?
Yuki Kawamura.
Yeah, he came out and we lost by like 50. That was pretty much us as the Blazers on Saturday. Yeah, just got destroyed.
Why was that? We need a quick little Brant breakdown. Why did we get destroyed so bad, Eric?
Well, the team we were playing was really good, first of all.
Yeah, they had like a 6'7", 6'8" big and a dude that played at Portland State that made like 11 threes. It was fun times, man.
Yeah, but yeah, we just did not play well either. Like, I don't know, we were playing okay. I think we were down 8 when you and I subbed out at one point, and then I went back into the game. We were down 27 or something.
Yeah.
It was quick. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was real quick, man. Yeah, it was real quick. We defended well. At the start of the game. We were down like 19-14, something like that. I sub out. I came back in. It was like 48-24 or something like it was some wild stuff. I got going a little bit. I missed some jumpers, a lot of back rim stuff. I hit a nice little sharp turnaround. You know, that was over the 6'7" dude. You know, it's always fun to hit shots over somebody that's taller than me, right? Because then I really feel like a guard. That's when I feel the most like a guard, and it's always fun to feel like a guard. So I don't know. We'll be better next weekend. We're playing the team that scratched out that win right before us on that court, Eric. So I think we'll be and we'll have a couple of our main guys back. So I think we'll win next week. We'll let you know how it goes on next Monday's show. Well, next Monday is draft lottery. So we're going to have the draft lottery, and then I forget, when the draft lottery is on Monday, do we normally do an evening stream?
No, because it's normally never on Monday. It used to be on a Tuesday every year, and then it switched to Sunday last year.
Yeah, now it's a Monday this year. So, Blazers Uprise Live on Monday will be the lottery stream. So we probably won't do a night stream. We'll probably just react to the lottery, break it down, talk about that a little bit. That'll be our episode of Blazers Uprise Live. And we'll see what happens with the Blazers pick. All right, we'll see what happens with the Blazers pick. I actually have Tankathon loaded up, ready to go today. This is going to be our second to last Tankathon. Only 2 more chances to try and get this 10th pick into the top 4. Hopefully it happens on Monday the 12th, though. Hopefully it happens, man. Fingers crossed. I've kind of resigned myself to disappointment there, but we can all hope.
And there's like, 96.5% chance of disappointment. So.
Yeah. Oof.
I guess less than that if we move up top 4.
16%. It's 1 in 6 chance to move into the top 4.
Yeah, it's still.
I mean, Atlanta was 10th last year. It can happen. We'll see. But But let's talk about the playoffs, man. Let's talk about the playoffs. So, pick a game to start with. There was two phenomenal games today. There was a phenomenal game yesterday, the Pacers beating the Cavs. But as far as today's action, Eric, where do you want to start?
Let's talk about the game that just ended because that was a crazy game. There's lots to discuss between the Jokic flailing and throwing an elbow and getting several foul calls and then finishing with 40, 20, and 5. I forgot what his exact numbers were, but
42, 22, and 6.
Insane, dude. And then they were down 8 with 2 minutes left or something, and going a big run to end the game. And then OKC, bad challenge by Daignault there in the fourth quarter, and then the decision to foul, which is probably the right thing to do there, up 3, but you do it really early in the possession. You don't even let them dribble out some time on one of them off a defensive rebound. And then Chet, I hate to say it because he's your guy, but he had a horrible fourth quarter. He missed that dunk in transition. Then misses 2 free throws there at the end. Got called for several fouls that sent players to the line. Just not a great moment for Chet there at the end. But yep. Then you got Russell Westbrook, almost the hero, with a 3-point shot the possession before, but he bricks it, and but they get another chance and he kicks it out to Aaron Gordon. Down 1, shoots a 3 with still 4 or 5 seconds left on the clock, and just cans it, man. That was crazy.
Yeah. The person says Gonzaga gonna Gonzaga. Well, I guess you didn't watch Andrew Nembhard absolutely go off yesterday for the Pacers and hit clutch threes down the stretch. So, yeah, Gonzaga gonna Gonzaga, whatever that means. Rough moment for Chet, but, this was a game the Thunder let Denver back into. Nikola Jokic had 5 fouls for, 6-7 minutes? You got to find a way to attack him and make him pick up his 6th or just score. This Thunder team, I felt like, didn't do a good enough job of attacking Jokic when he was in foul trouble, because you get him fouled out, it just completely changes the offense for Denver. Denver doesn't score enough points to win this game, right? But also it's Jokic defending with 5 fouls. He's not going to be aggressive challenging stuff. You just got to find a way to kind of pick him apart, especially when you play 5 out and you have 5 skilled players on the floor. You should be able to get into good positions and score at the rim. But I don't know. The Thunder did that a little bit, but it felt like they could have really taken advantage of that, and they left the door open a little bit, and then Denver came charging through it. You had Jokic just hit a clutch 3 to get him back in late, but I don't know, man. This is the type of game the Thunder lost in the second round last year to Denver, or to Dallas. This is the type of game where the Thunder look good. They look like the 1 seed, but they let the other team hang around, and then they get out-clutched. The other team just makes plays down the stretch, and then the Thunder find a way to lose. And I don't know if that's a lack of playoff experience. I feel like you could easily chalk their loss to Dallas last year as Dallas having more playoff experience, having Luka. The Thunder, it was their core's first time there, and we just saw Detroit lose some close games due to having a lack of experience against the Knicks too. And Houston as well, right? We've seen this with teams that lack experience losing close games in the playoffs, but the Thunder, they went through this last year, so you would think, all right, well, they're better this year. I forget how many games they won, but they won a crap ton of games. They're the 1 seed again. They looked even more dominant this season. So you would expect them to win a game like this. This being the type of game that they lost in the second round last year. Instead, they find a way to lose it. Shout out to Aaron Gordon hitting that clutch 3. That's 2 game winners for him in the playoffs so far. One alley-oop dunk off a Jokic airball and won a 3 in transition. And great play by Westbrook, just making the right play instead of trying to play the hero. I feel like 3 years ago, Westbrook is not making that pass. I think that's part of the reason why he's been a very functional piece for the Nuggets. He's contributed to their team this year in a way that he was not contributing to other teams in previous seasons, I feel like, just because he's picking his spots a little bit better and he's a little bit more under control in Denver, and I think that final play is a perfect testament to that. He's in OKC, where he played for over a decade, and had a one-on-one, essentially, fast break opportunity. Chet was kind of leaning over, which is why Aaron Gordon was open in the first place, but, I mean, I feel like other versions of Russell Westbrook just takes that to the rim and probably misses a layup. But instead just makes the right pass. Shout out to Aaron Gordon. Shout out to Westbrook for making that play in the first place. And Aaron Gordon, I don't know. I guess he's a clutch playoff performer now because it's 2-game winners, 2 big plays. And shout out to the Nuggets, man. Is the Thunder in trouble, Eric? Like, are they in trouble? Is this series actually going to go like their second round series last year, or do you think there's just a blip in the radar and they still win this thing in maybe 6 games?
I feel like they were the much better team tonight. Like, I still feel like they thoroughly outplayed them for a large portion of this game. So it's hard for me to just say they're in trouble. But, I mean, you mentioned it. The experience is a thing. These guys, Jokic, Gordon, and Murray, all have championship experience, pedigree, all that kind of stuff. I don't think does anyone was Caruso on the Lakers championship team, or is he gone by then?
I don't remember.
I remember, but like I don't know if there's any championship experience on the Thunder. And outside of maybe Caruso,
yeah, go on. I'll respond to something to chat after.
People are saying he was on that team, so yeah. But I mean, Jokic is he's the equalizer, man, and you can beat him. Like I said, the Thunder should have won this game, so it's not like. It's like, oh wow, the Nuggets like destroyed them in OKC. Now, how are they going to adjust or whatever? Like, I don't think they need like huge adjustments or anything in this game. Jalen Williams didn't have a great game shooting the ball. If he plays a little better, it's probably a win for OKC too. So, just got to find a way to not send Jokic to the foul line so much and. Try to control him a little bit. That is a tough matchup for Hartenstein and Chet, being a little slender. But I mean, you got to find a way to get the ball out of his hands and not let him have 42 on you.
Yeah, I don't really have a read on this series at this point because it was funny. Stephen Vaughn texted me in the middle of this game and was like, "Are the Thunder just going to go 16-0?"
Oh, really?
Yeah, so shout out to him. He jinxed.
I mean, it did feel like
he jinxed this game though with that text. OKC shot 35% from 3. I think that's a little bit below their season average, but it's not like they shot terribly. It's not like they had turnover issues. I mean, they didn't shoot a great percentage inside the arc, but the playoffs end up becoming a little bit more of a physical game, and sometimes you have to wonder, I think, with this OKC team, they like going small. Chet's not the most physical player. They started Chet next to Hartenstein. I think that lineup is maybe the best lineup to deal with Jokic. But when one of those guys is off the floor, they go pretty small. You know, they don't really have a 6'9" power forward or a 6'8" power forward, right? It's like they'll run 4 guards. Jalen Williams at 6'5" will be the power forward. You know, he's a strong guy, and Dort's a strong guy, but Dort's 6'3", 6'4". They have a lot of guys like that, and then in the regular season where they just play quick defensively and fly around the court and play fast, it works out. And we've seen them get 1 seeds because of it. But when you go up against a team with legitimate centers, Gafford was feasting on them last playoffs. So was Lively. A lot of that pick and roll and just lob stuff. But we've seen a very physical postseason, and the playoffs are always going to be more physical than the regular season. And if the Thunder struggle in this series, or if they lose this series, I think it's going to put maybe their roster construction into question in a way that you wouldn't expect out of a 1 seed that won 68 games this year. I just found the record. 68-14 this year. Dominant. Absolutely dominant. One of the greatest regular seasons ever, quite frankly. But if that doesn't translate to the postseason, you have to wonder why. And they gave up 21 offensive rebounds in this game. 21 offensive boards is insane. It's not even like the Nuggets missed a ton of shots and that's why they got so many offensive rebounds. I mean, they only shot 31% from 3. They shot 32 threes. They're 44% from the field. That's not terrible. 21 offensive rebounds is a ton to give up. The Thunder got 13, right? So that's a lot more shots. Denver turned over the ball 18 times. So their small ball lineups, with Chet at the 5, or they played Jalen Williams for 3 minutes in this game in the first half of the 5. Those 4-guard lineups, they force turnovers. I think that's maybe an area that Denver can look at. Like, man, we got to take better care of the ball. Jokic turned over the ball 7 times. Murray turned over the ball 4 times. We had 18 turnovers. That's something to improve upon. But you just have to wonder if the key to beating OKC is just being more physical than them, punishing them on the offensive glass, and then as long as they don't go nuclear from 3, you're probably within shouting distance at the end of the game like Denver was, and then OKC's shown that they're prone to struggling to make plays down the stretch in the playoffs last year and then in this game 1. So I think that's the recipe to beat them. It'll be interesting to see what the next couple of games look like, if OKC just runs away with this series off of talent alone, or if this continues to be a problem.
Yeah, I think that's where the physicality comes into play because, the Nuggets should have been the more tired team in this game. They just played Saturday, right? The game 7. And I know they ended up winning by a lot, so you didn't have to tax yourself as much as you probably would have in a normal game 7. But, they had to turn around and go to OKC on 1 day's rest and play in this game. So the fact that they were the more physical team and won pretty much based on that, I would be kind of worried about that, I guess, if I was OKC, because I don't know. It's like Jokic he's not going anywhere, right? Like he can play 40 minutes. It doesn't look like he's going to hold up or like be that good at stamina or whatever, but like he doesn't falter ever. So like you can't like get him out of the game with physicality. You can't wear him down or anything. He's just gonna be solid throughout the whole game, and there's nothing you can do to change that. So if Denver keeps this, and I think Aaron Gordon's kind of the same way, right? And Westbrook's always been an energy type guy that, like, no matter what you think of him, he always has energy. Like he's always brought that to the table, that like kind of hustle and just quick pace and stuff like that. So yeah, it's you kind of said it, but like if the Thunder don't blow out the Nuggets at all, like I think it definitely favors Denver, because they can make these plays at the end, and the Thunder have been kind of a front-running team all year, where they've been winning games by so much they just kind of cruise at the end of games, haven't really been super tested towards the end of games or had to like worry about that a lot when you're blowing teams out. So and then Dro mentions the elevation too. When you go back to Denver, the home court, you don't know how that'll affect OKC either. So Very, very interesting series. I was hoping this wouldn't be just like a Thunder run through series with the Nuggets being tired from last series, and it looks like that we're going to get a pretty good one. Just like you mentioned the Dallas Thunder series last year. You're muted.
Apologies. If you look at the playoffs, so I tried to make this graphic ahead of time. I put Thunder lead 1-0, and I guess it didn't update when I updated it. But you got the Nuggets up 1-0, so they're the 4 seed versus the Thunder, the 1 seed. Okay, you go to the East. You got the Pacers up 1-0, the 4 seed over the 1 seed Cavs. You got the Knicks up 1-0 over the 2 seed Celtics, right? The favorites are the Cavs, Celtics, and Thunder going into the second round. You look at the West, you got Timberwolves, Warriors. Game 1's tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. I mean, that's 2 lower seeds, although the Warriors have been there, done that. The Timberwolves made the conference finals last year, but like the Timberwolves being in the finals would be wild, right? You have 3 road wins in Game 1s. We'll see if the Warriors can make that 4, a total sweep in Game 1s in the second round by the road team. And that, I think, is going to lead to a lot of 6 or 7 game series here in the second round. I don't know if it's 2, 3, 4. I don't know how many, but winning Game 1 on the road against a more talented team is a really good step in the right direction, right? If the Knicks can win Game 2 in Boston somehow, then we're really talking about them probably being favored in that series, and the Celtics having to fight on the road to make that series go long. And the Celtics, of course, have championship pedigree and have been dominant all year. But things can change like that. Things can change in 2 games. There's really no precedent for teams losing 2 home games to start a series like that and coming back to win. I'm sure it's happened before, but it's very, very unlikely. So these Game 2s, I think, are going to be fascinating. If you get, just looking at the teams that won, Pacers, Knicks, that would be a fun Eastern Conference Finals, a little surprising. And then if you got if you got Nuggets and Timberwolves or something like that, that's pretty crazy. We still have to wait and see, but the reason why I like the playoffs so much this year is everything feels competitive and it feels like there's parity. And if you look at the East, the top 4 seeds won, but to start the second round, it's off to a good start, and we got to touch upon this Celtics-Knicks game. So the Knicks were down 20. It was kind of like this Thunder game where, like, the Thunder looked like they were in control and going to walk away with this win, and then the Nuggets fought back. The Knicks fought back even more. They were phenomenal down the stretch. Jalen Brunson, he was 9 for 23, not the most efficient night, but he hit a couple clutch shots. Jason Tatum missed 3 threes in the final 2 minutes of regulation. The Celtics struggled to score the ball in overtime, and it looked like the Celtics kind of ran out of gas. Jaylen Brown does not look like he has the same burst or athleticism as normal. Even the broadcasters said it. He didn't look like he was getting the normal lift on his shot, and I've seen people over the past month talk about how Jaylen Brown just is not getting off the floor well. He's not moving the same. And then you have Kristaps Porzingis getting illness or something. I don't know what happened with him going up against the team that drafted him, but he didn't score. He barely played. I don't know. Things could be going badly for the Celtics here. The Knicks have a ton of talent and hit tough shots, hit clutch shots. OG Anunoby's had some really good performances in this year's playoffs. He had 29 points, 10 for 20 from the field. They didn't even get a ton out of Karl Anthony Towns or really anybody else. It was kind of the Brunson and OG show, but they shut down the Celtics. 105 in OT for the Celtics, who really struggled from 3. You can see some of the percentages there. As a team, the Celtics shot 15 for 60, 25%, 63s. 60 out of their 97 field goal attempts were 3s, Eric. So, maybe you can look at it like, yeah, the Knicks needed overtime to beat a team that shot 25% from 3 and shot 60 of them. But also, the Knicks play good defense. They contested a lot of those shots. They made a lot of those shots tough. And if you're going to live and die by the 3, you're prone to nights like this. So, what were your thoughts on this game, and what are your thoughts on this series going forward?
I kind of feel like it was just Celtics went cold, and I don't expect that to continue. I mean, they're not. They've been a really good 3-point shooting team. Um, they get good quality looks a lot, uh, and to put up 63s. Now you can say the opposite. Maybe they should have stopped shooting threes at some point, but I mean that's their style. They spread the floor and they shoot a bunch of threes. So um, I I think kind of like the Thunder is just this is a game that got away from them. They should have won, and it'll probably make this a series now, and that's a good thing. But uh, it's definitely a situation in my mind where the Celtics just shot about as bad as they possibly will in the rest of the playoffs. So I think they'll be much better next game. Um, as far as Jaylen Brown, I think he did get some sort of injection in his knee right before the playoffs or towards the end of the regular season, and yeah, it's a case where I don't think he's healthy at all right now. He's kind of just dragging till the end of the season. Um, Much like LeBron's injuries, he just plays through them, I guess.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yes. Yeah. If they don't have Porzingis and if Jaylen Brown isn't quite himself, 7 for 20, 1 for 10 from 3, rough night for him. This team is beatable. I thought the Celtics were going to dominate this series, but I don't know. You got a couple things that go wrong against a talented team, and you can easily lose. That's the nature of the postseason, right? We saw the Pacers make a run against some teams last year that had some injuries and some things go wrong, and the Pacers took advantage. That's part of the postseason. A big part of it is just longevity, is being able to withstand the rigors of a season and come out the other side healthy and ready to play postseason ball. So hopefully Porzingis is all right. You know, it's not like they're really missing anybody, but you get a couple players that aren't playing like themselves, and a series can change. I don't know, though. It was one of those things where it's like when the Celtics were up 20, it was like, yeah, this is what I thought the series was going to be. I thought I took the Celtics in 5. Now they have to win their last 4 for that prediction to be correct. At this point, I think the Knicks will at least take one more. I think this series is going 6. I think every series at this point is going at least 6 in the second round, which is great stuff. There's a comment from earlier. Shout out to my guy, the Uprisen. You know, great name. Greatest name in the chat. Said, Tori, if we went after AG instead of Powell, Dame would have still been here. I was going to ask if you just said that because you saw 503 tweet it, and then I see the next comment. LOL, I got that from a tweet earlier. Yeah, 503 tweeted that. I don't think that changes anything. I don't think that changes anything at all. Didn't really understand that tweet. Like, yeah. Norman Powell's been maybe better than Aaron Gordon this year. All right. Aaron Gordon's a good player, man. He's been playing some good postseason ball, but I don't understand the whole, Aaron Gordon has a good game, and it's, yeah, man, we should have traded for him 4 years ago. Dame would still be here. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I get why people are saying that, but yeah, I don't know. People forget that Aaron Gordon was a player that not only never got better in like 7 seasons in Orlando or 6.5 or whatever it was, but he actually was like regressing in his mid-20s in Orlando, just kind of not. I mean, it was flat out he just didn't improve at all, which leads me to believe he didn't have a very good work ethic. And then you get paired with Jokic, and it just completely opens up your game. And to his credit, he's developed a 3-point shot as well. Was one of the better 3-point shooters in the league this year, especially from the corners. Um, and so, I mean, that was just like the perfect situation for him, I think, because, I mean, he plays the exact same way on most teams, and he's just an average player in my mind. But you pair him with someone who has the vision of Jokic, and then you improve your 3-point shot a little bit, and I mean he turns into a high end player, and that trade has obviously worked out for them. So they won a championship, and he's been huge in these playoffs so far. But I don't know if that has the same outcome with the way Stotts like to use our forwards in those offenses, and I don't know how much different it would have been if he. I mean, I don't know. I don't think his career is as good if he's on a different team outside of Denver.
Yeah, Denver's the perfect spot for him. Playing next to Jokic, he's the perfect complement to Jokic. So, chat's being funny tonight, man. Let's preview the only.
Yeah, that's right. I noticed your haircut at the basketball game.
Yeah, except you didn't compliment me because I didn't pay you for a compliment, right? Because that's what we do. Do you remember that joke from last? Do you remember that joke from last stream? Did you see the dude who comment like telling me that I was not joking and telling me to go listen to it back, listen to myself back because he's trying to tell me I wasn't joking. Yeah, no, I just want to clear the air. I don't have Eric pay me to say nice things about him on Twitter. I'll do it for free with a smile on my face. Okay.
In his defense, yeah, you shouldn't have. I shouldn't have to pay you for you to say correct information, right?
Yeah, I mean that is the joke. Yes, that is the joke. Yeah, there were some interesting comments on the last stream. I'll just say that, man. I'll just say that. And chat's interesting today. We love our community. We love our community. We also love our friends at BetUS. They're going to help us preview the game. Preview the game. Oh, I have Tankathon up behind there. That's what that is. Okay. All right. Shout out to BetUS. If you guys remember the code YouTube150, you can still receive 150% bonus on your first deposit, 225% bonuses on your next two deposits up to 2,000. Series odds. Series odds, Eric. I am surprised. I am surprised by these. By this. Timberwolves minus 185, Warriors plus 159. I got the Warriors winning this series. Do you think these odds are too tilted in the Timberwolves' favor? Or do you agree with the odds? Do you think this is where the line should be set?
I think this is kind of reactionary to the Timberwolves easily winning round one and the Warriors kind of struggling with the Rockets. But I know Jaden McDaniels is a really good defender, but Amen Thompson was a problem for the Warriors, and I think they can exploit Minnesota's defense with Randall and Gobert a little more than they could Houston's.
Yeah.
So I kind of agree that it should be at least closer to even money for this series.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a coin flip, in my opinion. I don't think one team should be favored this much over the other.
Yeah. I think you got defensive pieces there in Golden State with Jimmy, with Draymond to try and deal with Anthony Edwards. Like Jimmy's gonna go at that matchup. And then I think they're gonna struggle to contain Steph, especially running off those screens like with their motion. I just see Gobert struggling to defend that type of offense. Basically, you just got to stay connected to Steph and run over screens. But when your best defender, or maybe your lockdown defender, is Jalen McDaniels, and he's 6'10". It's harder for him to get through those screens. You'd almost rather have somebody a little bit smaller, where it's a little bit easier for them to fight through those screens if you're going to have a drop big, not playing up at the level of the screen like Gobert. So I think it's an interesting dynamic there with the Warriors offense versus the Timberwolves defense. I agree with you. I think they're going to be able to attack Randall and Gobert. And I'm looking forward to game one. I would definitely take this plus 159 with the Warriors, man. I think that's great odds for them to win this series. If you want to get in on it with BetUS, shout out to them. Let's talk about, since we're on the topic in chat, okay, we're going to talk about the Magic and Anfernee Simons again. But it's because our one shred of Blazers news has to do with Anfernee Simons and the Magic, Eric. So this is like the third straight stream we're having this conversation. So it's not going to be a long conversation. Hopefully you've been able to watch prior streams. But basically, to summarize things, we think Simons is a great fit for Orlando. I want to trade Simons a little bit more than Eric. I want to trade Simons, clear the path for Scoot to start. And I think the Magic would be silly not to trade for him. They need a guard that can make shots and play off of guys, but also create his own shot, and Anfernee from there. And the Magic desperately need scoring. Now, they could be a player for Kobe White this offseason. If Houston makes a trade for Giannis, maybe Jalen Green gets rerouted somewhere. Maybe he could be a fit in Orlando. Like, there's always opportunities to get scores, and there may be a couple opportunities that we don't foresee, like Jalen Green in a multi-team trade if the Bucks are actually trading Giannis. Now, I think Giannis is going to be back in Milwaukee next year, so I think that would be a long shot for the Magic. Basically, if you're hoping Simons gets traded, I think you have to hope that he's the best scoring guard available on the market and that Kobe White's not available. There's nothing out of left field like Jalen Green or somebody like that for the Magic, and Anfernee Simons ends up being kind of the best player on the market for what they need and what Simons' archetype is. So, with that said, Mark Stein listed Anfernee Simons as a name to watch for Orlando.
Yep.
Our one shred of rumor from Mark Stein. Mark Stein's legit. Okay. So yes. What are your thoughts?
Okay. First of all, he listed him as someone he thinks the Magic could potentially be interested in. This wasn't based on a rumor that the Magic were interested in him. He was just listing players that he thinks the Magic should be interested in. So
yeah, but he's plugged in, so it's a rumor to me.
Okay, but what I'm saying is he even said this wasn't based off of anything. He was just naming players that he think would be potential fits for the Magic in a trade. So
okay, yes, he said he's a name to watch for Orlando.
Yes. Yeah, so
yeah.
So yeah, that's and that's like what everyone thinks, right? That's like we've been talking about this for how many months now, like 24 months or something, like, it's been bandied about. But yeah, I mean, we all know the Magic need some sort of scoring. Their GM even admitted it, or their president of basketball operations. So they're going to make a move for someone this year, but we'll see if they. I mean, this is a team that different front office, I guess now, but they're that Aaron Gordon thing we talked about a few minutes ago. They were the ones that wanted R.J. Hampton over either Gary Trent Jr. or Anfernee Simons to begin with, back when they made that trade. And
but things change.
No, I'm just saying they targeted R.J. Hampton. That was one of the reasons they chose to make a trade with Denver and not accept a trade with the Blazers, was they really coveted R.J. Hampton back in that deal. And so you never know with front offices if they will do something stupid or do something that everyone agrees makes complete sense.
Yeah, so that trade was in 2021. RJ Hampton, 19-year-old rookie that year.
Yeah, it was coming off his rookie season.
Yeah,
Or
no, it
year
was in
and
the
a half.
middle. It was in the middle of his rookie season.
Okay, I thought it
Yeah.
was his second
No,
year.
I'm looking at his stats right now. It was in the middle of his rookie season. He was the 24th pick. Like, mistake on Orlando's part for sure, because RJ Hampton never amounted to being anything. And then, if you know about him at all, you know he's, I don't know, kind of a crummy person. Like, there's some stuff like with him, and I don't know. You can Google it. But yeah, like ultimately, Ant makes a ton of sense. It's not just us saying it; it's Mark Stein saying it. We'll see what happens. The Blazers really need to move on from him, in my opinion. Like, as we keep having these conversations, it's just settling into, for me, like, man, there's gonna be issues when he comes back that aren't Anfernee issues. It's just issues for other players on the roster because Anfernee's going to be maybe the number one option again next year. I want to see that be Denny Avdia instead. You're going to see Anfernee Simons playing 33 to 35 minutes a game next year. Scoot probably still not starting, as Eric's alluded to. Like, I think that's a mistake, and I think that's ridiculous, and I ranted about it on a previous stream. So hopefully Orlando's interested in him. If not Orlando, maybe a team like Detroit could have some interest in him. But, they have Malik Beasley now. I think they'll re-sign him. He's a free agent this offseason. They'll have Jaden Ivey back. Marcus Sasser, when he's played, has been solid as a backup point. And of course, you got Cade. Like, do they really need Anfernee Simons? It's tough to really see where the other suitors are in the NBA for Anfernee Simons that would give up more than Orlando would give up. So if Orlando's not willing to give up much, then I think the Blazers are stuck in a tough position where what's best for Scoot and what's best for this, coming out of this rebuild is not necessarily going to be selling high on Anfernee Simons. It will be selling for lower than maybe you would hope. And you would be getting back less than you'd hope. I think you can have a discussion about, which is the best case scenario. At the end of the day, though, like, Scoot ultimately should get the keys, in my opinion. And I think anybody, I saw comments in chat earlier in the stream, he's not going to be as good as Anfernee Simons. What, he's not going to be a solid starter? Like, he's 21. He took major strides last year, and when he started, he was a solid starter. So he's going to continue to improve. He's 21 years old. So I just don't understand still some of the narratives about Scoot. Like, but I think part of the reason why these narratives still exist is because he hasn't been given a consistent role or the easiest system to run. So hopefully Chauncey makes some strides there with the way he designs his offense. I think Scoot can benefit off of that. Hopefully Scoot gets the keys next year. That's what I'm rooting for.
All right, so this isn't necessarily my opinion, but let me just break down something that I've been thinking about since this Mark Stein thing came. And we all agree from Orlando's perspective, it makes sense. But let's just say Orlando was willing to give up whatever filler and 16 and 25, right? Because they have the 16th and 25th pick in this draft.
Yes.
Okay, let's just say for the sake of for this discussion, they were willing to give up both of those picks. If you just look at it in a vacuum, 2 first-round picks for Anfernee, that's the most we could possibly hope for in a trade for him value-wise, correct? Do you believe that?
Sure, I think that's very optimistic, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, we're not going to get 3 first-round picks from another team, right? Like, that's probably maximizing his value, right? But we also know the Blazers' goal is to make the playoffs. And once again, I'm not saying this is how I view it, but from the Blazers' perspective, they want to make a playoff run this next year. having 2 or 3 first-round picks when you include your own pick and losing a rotation player is not probably something they're looking at doing in terms of making that jump. That to me seems like they're going to view that as a step back. Now I think you and I could both argue if you draft correctly there and set yourself up, like you said, give Scoot a bigger role, you might be taking that step back to get a bigger ceiling down the road, especially if you hit on those draft picks, or at least one of them. But to me, it does seem like the Blazers would also view that trade scenario as not really beneficial to them moving forward with their quest to make the playoffs, right? Like, because I'm just telling you right now, 3 rookies is not something they're really interested in. They might have one, maybe trade in, get a second one, like a second round player, but I don't think they're going after draft picks right now in terms of like this draft or rookies on this team. They're looking for players that can help them take that next step.
Okay, I got a few things to say this. So this organization also loves 11-game sample sizes. Yep.
Right, yeah.
How many games did Anfernee Simons miss this year, do you know? 12. 12. He missed 12 games. Yeah. Do you know their record in those games?
Well, I know it was like 7-1 at one point or something like that.
Yeah, they are 8-4 without Anfernee Simons. And since we love 11-game sample sizes, what's better than an 11-game sample size? A 12-game sample size. So, and they're... I fully believe they would sell out the rebuild and the development of young players to try and get an 8th seed next year. I mean, that's been the biggest problem with this rebuild from the jump. Is they've never really wholeheartedly committed to it. The first sniff of a play and they're ready to just keep their 3rd overall pick on the bench for Anfernee Simons so they can try and maybe get a 9th or an 8th seed, even though it's still unlikely they end up in the 1st round next year, in my opinion, which is just directionless BS. It's just completely directionless. At the same time, you can easily, I think, make the case that even if you trade Ant and start Scoot, you can find some shooting off the bench pretty easily during the offseason to replace the shooting you lose by trading Ant, and you can pick up pieces for the future and not even be worse next year. And if Scoot takes more of a jump, that's the thing is, like, if Scoot is much improved next year, if he's playing inconsistent minutes where he's having a good first half and then not playing a ton in the second half because Anfernee Simons is playing so that he loses his rhythm a little bit, like, how long is it going to take for us to tell that Scoot's improved to the point where he's, like, just as good as Anfernee Simons if he takes that step next year? It's going to take a lot longer to realize that with Ant in front of him than if we trade Ant and Scoot starts and plays 30 to 35 minutes from the jump next year. Like, we're going to realize that pretty quickly, I think. So, but that's something the organization has to figure out. And if you're scared of, like, oh man, if we trade Ant and start Scoot, who we drafted 3rd overall in year 3, like, we're going to take too much of a step back, then, oh my goodness, number one, you really, really screwed up with your 3rd overall selection if you're not willing to start him in place of Anfernee Simons going into year 3. Like, we wouldn't feel this way about, a Ben Thompson or maybe not even a healthy Brandon Miller, So you really screwed up that pick, I guess, if you're still not willing to commit to it, in my opinion. And you also apparently don't have enough confidence in your ability to develop that player. We're going into year 3. He's going to develop enough to the point where it's not going to be much of a step back. And it's just silly to me. It's just silly to me. So that's my thoughts as far as that goes. Like, yeah, sure, it's a step back on paper, but in terms of the way it plays out on the court, is it actually a step back if you can replace his shooting with a bench shooter and then Scoot takes a jump because he's starting? I don't think so.
I think they look at it as, why can't Scoot take a jump no matter what the situation is?
I mean, Scoot took a jump when he started this year. So that's what I say to him. He was better when he started this year. He was better when he was given the keys. I think Bjorkgren gave him the keys more than Chauncey ever did in any games this season, and Scoot looked great under Bjorkgren. I felt like the ball was in Scoot's hands more in those 2 games with Bjorkgren than pretty much the rest of the season, and Scoot looked great. He had that game winner. He looked confident, right? And that's the problem with Chauncey's offense and Chauncey's usage of Scoot. Like, oh, yeah, all right, he needs to take that step. But, all right, oh, he had a great first half. We're going to play him, 6 minutes in the second half, and he's not going to have any chance to really maintain that rhythm. He misses a shot, and then we're taking him out, and we're playing Ant, even if Ant's shooting badly, 40 minutes a game. It's like, all right, if we want to make it merit-based, then it needs to become something where when Scoot's out playing Ant, Scoot's playing 35 minutes, and Ant's playing 25. But that's the problem that we've seen from Chauncey Billups and from this organization is when Scoot was out playing Anfernee Simons last year, there was multiple games where Ant was still playing far heavier minutes, and it wasn't fully merit-based. So that's my problem with them saying, like, oh, Scoot should deserve it no matter what. Why can't he prove it no matter if he's starting or off the bench? Well, you're not basing it off of merit with the guy in front of him, so that's why it's tough for him to prove it.
Yeah, well, so what I'm saying is, like, that's not necessarily a product of having Anfernee Simons on the team, though. That's just a product of the coaching or the philosophy needs to change.
Yeah, but a lot of coaches are going to do that with somebody.
No,
20. Like,
agreed. I'm just saying, like, you are invested in this pick, the number 3 pick in that draft. Like, you do. Like, if Scoot does start to show stuff, I do think you should keep giving him more and more. Like, I've been very clear about that. Like, I think you should expand his role, not limit his role. But, like, I don't think it's necessarily a case where it has to be without Anfernee Simons. I think it's more of a change, like you said, to where if Scoot's playing better, he gets to play more. If Anfernee's outplaying him and Scoot doesn't take another jump this season, then you play Anfernee more.
I fully agree. But we're talking about like what the organization is thinking. And if they're thinking that trading Ant and rolling with Scoot as a starter is that much of a step back, then it doesn't lead me to think that, oh, Scoot's having a good game, they're just going to want him to play a bunch more minutes than Anfernee Simons because they just clearly, apparently think Anfernee Simons is better, which is, I think, the wrong way to look at it going into next year.
Let me clear up one thing. They don't think that moving Anfernee, that is the reason why they don't want to move Anfernee. They want the depth. They're looking at it like, okay, we have 3 guards, Scoot, Sharp, Anfernee. We have, 3 forwards if you include Grant, Denny, Tamani, and Grant. You have 2 centers. You have Ayton and Klingon. You have whatever you get from Rob Will on top of that. You have Thibault if he's still on the team. I think they feel pretty comfortable him as like a 9th man, although I think they will try to use him and Rob's contract to improve that 9th rotation spot. But I think it's more just they feel like having that depth there is better than trading one of the guards and then having basically only 2 out of the 3.
It's just super silly. It's just super silly that if they look at it that way. Because you can have good depth without having 3 guards that all need to start.
Yeah.
You're right. Like, they're not going to bring Ant off the bench. Scoot and Sharp, I think, need to start next year. You can go out and try and go get a Luke Kennard. Like, you could trade Ant and go try and use an MLE on Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard last year shot 43% from 3, per 36, scored 14 points and 5 assists per game. 5 assists per game. That's pretty dang good for a 3-point specialist, right? and 43% from three. He's a career 44% three-point shooter. The last 4 years, he has never shot worse than 43% from three. What do the Blazers need? A reliable, consistent knockdown three-point shooter. Luke Kennard is that more than Anfernee Simons is. Now, Anfernee Simons takes some tougher threes, so, if he was taking Luke Kennard's threes, like maybe he'd have a higher percentage, but I think Luke Kennard's the better, more consistent shooter. And it's like, next year, does Ant need to be taking a bunch of tough threes? Probably not. That's probably not the best thing for the offense. It's like, I'd rather have somebody coming off the bench like a Luke Kennard that can fill that shooter role, make a play, pass the ball a bit, doesn't need to start, and is just going to take the right shots, going to shoot 43 to 45%. I mean, in 2022, 2023, he shot 49.4% from three in 59 games on 7.4 three-point attempts per game. You know what I mean? Like, go get that guy to come off the bench at a guard spot, like at a shooting guard spot, and have that shooting behind Scoot, and then you're putting all you're putting your eggs in Scoot's basket and hoping you can take a leap. And I think that's the best thing going forward, and I think that's the best thing for them having a chance to actually be a playoff team at the end of next season. Is like, you're gonna need some of these young guys to take a step. Scoot is definitely included in that. So I just the thing is too is like, if people talk about Ant long term, if the Blazers really need a player like Ant long term, it's not going to be hard to trade for that player or find that player. Like, look at what Zach LaVine went for this year. Like, what could Ant go for right now? The Blazers can always find that player in the future if they need him.
I think, once again, from the Blazers' perspective, Luke Kennard, funny you bring that up. Watch that name this offseason, right? Because I think that's the type of player they want to add to their rotation currently.
I mean, yeah, it's just
not like
that's just
in trading him out for someone. You know what I mean?
Adding just what you're adding him to play some three. I don't know. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. He's not really a backup point. I don't know. He's not really a three. He's kind of just a shooting guard, I guess. So regardless, you're kind of playing him out of position if you play him at either. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this organization will value making a playoff spot next year, making an 8th seed over what's best for themselves 3 to 4 years down the line, it seems like. Guess what? It's going to take a couple, 3, 4 years to contend. So if they care more about getting an 8th seed than trying to contend in 3 to 4 years, when that's when their window of contention would be, then that's the biggest problem. And that's what this offseason, I think, is all about. Is, are they willing to keep an eye on the future while still wanting to be competitive next year? Or is it just going to be, no, we can't trade Ant now. We won 36 games last year. Never mind, we were 8-4 without him. But we won 36 games last year, so we got to keep him in front of Scoot so we can try and win 42 games this year. I think this offseason is going to prove whether or not the Blazers' mindset is about the short term and about trying to get an 8th seed or a 7th seed or whatever next year versus trying to build a contender long term. This offseason will prove it one way or the other.
Nathan Rolfe says, stop playing devil's advocate. Eric, what do you mean? Do you not agree that that's what the Blazers' mindset is? Like, it's pretty obvious that's what their thinking is.
I don't know if it's obvious. We'll see. We'll see. I don't think it's obvious they keep Ant this offseason at all.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if they trade him, I think it's a trade that, like the Brogdon trade last year, where they're getting a player back that's really good. I don't think it's to a team like the Magic for picks or whatever. Like, maybe there's a third team that those picks go to and you get that player. So I'm not like completely ruling that out. I'm just saying.
I think they could convince themselves that even if it's for picks, if they're smart, it's like, okay, we want Denny to be the number one option and take a leap to start him next year, right? Like, so we need to make him the number one option. We need to start Scoot for that upside next year to make the playoffs. Like, getting Ant out of the way helps in those scenarios. So like, but that takes them looking beyond just the names on a sheet of paper.
For the record, there is a chance Scoot makes a jump regardless of who's on the roster. Like, there's there is a chance
And
he could prove to be good. Like,
and then
no
what? You Ant's a rental at the deadline. You're not going to get back more for him.
I'm not saying it has anything to do with Simon's
The Blazers
value.
have serious problems if Scoot does not make a jump.
Yeah.
You got to hope he makes a jump. So, like, that's the thing is, like, I don't really understand the if he comes off the bench, he still might take a jump. So, you know, things will be fine then, and then you move Ant. It's like, well, you kind of need him to take a jump. So you might as well just go that direction, try and make it as easy as possible for him to take a jump. And if he doesn't, well, then we have problems. And that's going to be the case no matter if Anfernee Simons is on this team or not. So you might as well just make it as easy as possible for Scoot to take that jump. You might as well just give him the keys, see what you got as a starter. Because as a starter last year, when he was given the keys, he looked much better. So, yeah, I don't know.
I'm just saying, like, you seem to make it seem like it has, like, Scoot can only take a jump if Anfernee is gone. I think it's
that's not what I'm saying at all.
But
I'm saying make it as easy as possible. I think it's more likely Scoot with a consistent starting role will improve, like have that level of improvement over the role and usage and minutes getting moved all around and him having a good half and not playing enough in the second half and vice versa and all that crap. I think that hurts his chances. It's not to say that he can't. That's not to say that he can't, but I'm all about maximizing the young core as much as possible going into next year. Whatever decisions you got to make to maximize that young core is going to be better for the future and also better for trying to make a playoff spot next year because that's where all the upside lies is within the young core. So, yeah.
I mean, I guess the organization's argument is that developing a winning team, which they expect to be, is like better for everyone's development, like getting playoff experience or that kind of stuff. I don't know.
This team as constructed is going to get wiped in the playoffs.
Right.
Like,
I mean, we know that.
Like, Anfernee Simons is not going to make them competitive against the Thunder in a first-round series. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I think all this is kind of ridiculous. Like, DeAndre Ayton and Anfernee Simons is not going to change us from getting wiped to, like, oh, we might have a chance to beat the Thunder. We're getting good playoff experience. It's like, okay, so you're probably going to have a lot of 30-point blowouts, 40-point blowouts. Is that really that great? Oh, they get to see what it's like in the postseason. Okay, sure, great, fine, yeah. But I don't think that outweighs regular season development for the young players. And it's like, I'd rather them make the playoffs with Scoot starting, so then Scoot is like getting starting reps compared to maybe having his minutes cut off the bench because they want to play Anfernee Simons 40 minutes in a playoff series because he's the vet and they feel like he gives them the best chance to maybe win a single playoff game in the first round. So yeah, I just disagree with like all the what they're
okay.
Yeah.
So what? Okay, I'm not saying this would happen, but this is where I am going to play devil's advocate for Nathan there. Okay, let's say they traded Anfernee, give Scoot the keys, and they win 25 games next year, and it's not good. Then
they would have won 32 with Anfernee, so what's the difference?
No, I'm just saying.
Max,
I think that's what they're worried about is losing this momentum they have right now. And once again, I don't agree with that. I'm not saying it happens, but I mean, Scoot isn't a for sure thing either that he's going to be, the starting point guard or whatever. So like
you don't like for sure, but like he's gonna improve next year, right?
Hopefully he better. Yeah, he better.
I mean, I just don't see how we can't be like very confident that he's gonna improve a bit after the strides he took this year.
Yeah, they're definitely encouraging. Definitely shows he has the work ethic. Just the way he fixed some of his issues with his shot mechanics shows how hard he works. So
improved his left hand, improved his pace. Like he knows what he needs to work on, and he works. And he took strides in a number of those areas last year. That's why it's like, okay, I'm very confident he's going to take those strides again and at least be like a okay starting point guard. So that's why to be like, Ant is not going to make that much of a difference, where if you suck, you're going to suck. And if you're on the cusp of being a playoff team, you're probably going to be on the cusp of being a playoff team. But what's better for the future is Scoot, and he has the most upside. So that's why it's just, yeah. That basically is the baseline.
I think the difference is, I think Scoot could have that jump, and then we're like, why the heck isn't he like, this guy's definitely a starting point guard next year, whether he's coming off the bench or not. And
I feel like there's times this year we said that. So, like, what's...
No, I know, but it wasn't consistent. Like, I'm just saying.
It's hard to be consistent when every time you have a good first half, well, not every time, but it's hard to be consistent when your minutes are all over the place and you have a good first half and then you are used weird in the second half or have a 4-minute stretch and then get subbed back out. Like,
I get it. Once again, that doesn't have anything to do with the players on the roster. That has to do with him having his role yanked around. But to me, if he takes another jump similar to the jump he took next year, then it's like clear cut. No one can dispute it. Like that, he deserves those minutes and doesn't deserve to have those minutes yanked around and stuff like that. So
yeah, honestly, I actually agree with something Matt Cardell says. Why are we talking Scoot for inconsistency, but giving Simons a pass? I mean, I guess the answer to that is like Simons has been established and he's the vet. But at the same time, it's like, man, Simons was super inefficient last year. But it's just like, doesn't matter for him, only matters for Scoot. Like, Scoot has to consistently outplay Ant, or else he's not going to start ahead of him. Even if he's better as a whole, he has to like consistently prove that he's better than Anfernee Simons in order to, I don't know, but like, even if he does, I don't even know if he's going to start if Anfernee Simons is still on this team. Like, I don't think they're going to bench Ant. So even if he does prove that, then we're having post-game shows next year where it's like, man, why is Scoot not playing more? Man, why is Anfernee still on his way? Scoot's clearly better than Anfernee if he takes that jump. So I don't want to be there. Like, why don't we just avoid that and commit to the guy we drafted 3rd overall? That seems much simpler and much easier to me.
I know this sucks in terms of where Sharp fits into this, but there were some good lineups in terms of some of the Blazers' best lineups with Anfernee and Scoot playing together too. They actually started to figure some stuff out at the middle of the of the season. So
if Sharp wasn't here, I'd say just play Ant at the 2.
Yeah,
like that'd be easy. You know, that's the thing. It's like Sharp is clearly the 2.
Yeah. And once again, I don't think it's... See, we're like... This is what we keep doing. We keep pitting Anfernee and Scoot against each other when the Blazers feel like they want to have both of them. They want to have... But like...
You know what it's like, Eric? It's like trying to have 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, it's like... That's how it is to me. Because what position on the basketball floor is the quarterback? Is the point guard spot? Like,
right.
You know, it's not that simple.
But I mean, we've been saying this going back to Dame. Like, utilize then Scoot more as the ball handler, and Anfernee use his ability to, impact defensive game plans to our advantage. And if Scoot takes a jump, then either Scoot's going to get a lot more attention eventually, and that'll free stuff up for other players, and Scoot can be the playmaker he should be, or like is already to a magnified level because other players would be open more. Or, you use Anfernee off ball to clear up the paint a little bit more than it has been when the Blazers had no off ball shooting. And I think you find a way to do that, but like I still get the overall premise of if they're going to mess around with minutes and roles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I get that it can't be that way, but it doesn't have to be that way is what the point I keep coming back to.
Yeah, but I mean,
learn to play together a little bit.
But this conversation, like, you're talking about what the team is thinking, and I'm like, okay, well, if they're thinking that, they're gonna do this, they're gonna continue to yank around with his minutes, which is the problem. Like, my argument isn't even with you. My argument is with the mindset of the team that you're pitching to me that is probably correct. And I just think it's ridiculous. Because, like, but even if you did that plan and had Anfernee off the ball, used his spacing, right? It's like, why don't you just go get Luke Kennard instead. Like, trade and go get Luke Kennard instead. Because Luke Kennard is a 45% three-point shooter the last 4 years, and defenses absolutely have to respect that. And if they don't, Scoot just has easy swing passes, and Luke Kennard will just destroy teams on threes. Like, and he can come off the bench, and you don't have those problems. And Luke Kennard, I think Chauncey would be more likely to use Luke Kennard in that way than Anfernee Simons. So, like, Ant's a better player, but I think part of the reason Ant's the better player is because of some of the on-ball stuff. So it's like using him in that way, I'd rather just go get Luke Kennard and rather cash in Ant for 2 assets. I think this offseason is fascinating because these conversations are going to come to a head at some point, and either they're going to trade him or they won't. And we can have these conversations like for hours on end, man. We do it. We've done it for 3 streams in a row. But I think it's a very important conversation to have in terms of the plan this offseason. How much are they willing to just completely say, screw 3 or 4 years from now, we really want an 8 seed and we're going to do everything in our power possible, even if it hurts the future, to maximize our chances to try and get an 8 seed. I think this offseason is all about them showing that is their mindset or not. And I am legitimately worried that is truly their mindset. I'm not even, it's not even an argument with you that, I'm not arguing that I don't think that's their mindset. I'm trying to be hopeful that they have a little bit more.
We know it is, right?
I don't know.
Come on, man.
I don't know.
We all know, right?
No, I don't know. Chat, do you know or do you not know? Let me know. Say I know or I don't know. I don't know that that's their mindset.
Come on, we've been right about their mindset for how many off seasons?
Yeah, but so we disagree. We don't even disagree. I just don't know. And I'm not going to say I know if I don't. I truly don't know. I could see them viewing Scoot's going to improve next year to the point where having him off the bench is not the best for winning. Their mindset is to shake a magic 8-ball for answers. Yeah, pretty much.
I think the only question in my mind this offseason is how much they think their core 8 can achieve the playoffs without any moves. I'm being serious. Do they think if their core 8 is healthy, I guess core 9 if you want to include Thibault or Robert Williams or whoever.
Yeah, core 8, by the way, is the 5 young guys with Ayton, Grant, and Anfernee.
Yeah. So, I mean, no matter who you start, whoever you have come off the bench, obviously there's people we want starting over others, and hopefully Grant, and honestly, hopefully Ayton. I mean, if you had Ayton and Grant off the bench, that's pretty good.
Is it?
I mean, that's I don't know. I'm just saying, what they think.
I almost feel like that. You know what that reminds me of a little bit, Eric? It reminds me of a super duper expensive, shinier version of Melo and Cantor. Now, neither one of those guys are as bad defensively as those guys, but I don't know. I do not like Grant and Ayton together.
Cantor, yeah.
Because they are not physical at their positions at all.
Right.
And they don't rebound well for their positions. Like Ayton will get boards, but he'll give up a lot of offensive rebounds, and Grant's a terrible rebounder, and they both love mid-range shots. Jerami postseason is complaining about basically not getting enough mid-range shots to build a rhythm is how I interpreted his comments. And Ayton loves his mid-range shots. Like, I just hate that. I hate that combo. Yeah. And I think if they're playing 20 minutes off the bench, I don't even know if it would look that good. Like, their per-game stats are going to be worse. They're not going to build the same. They're not going to be able to build the same rhythm. If Grant already struggled building a rhythm this year where he was still playing a ton of minutes and getting shots because he couldn't ISO as much, I couldn't imagine him being able to build a rhythm in 20 minutes a game off the bench.
Yeah. Well, we all know Aiden's going to start over Klingon anyway, so that sucks. But
yeah.
So to me, the only question I have going into this offseason is how much more do they think they need to add to that? Are they going to basically draft someone, maybe sign a free agent and stand pat and think that they're going to take the jump necessary with Chauncey's improvements, coaching, and the natural roster improvement? Or do they make a trade using some of their assets to add to the core to like get them one other player? So that's the only question in my mind is how much do they believe in that core to make their goal, and how much do they think they need to add? And that's why I think someone like Luke Kennard, you can add like a Corey Kispert. I don't know if they're going to Grayson Allen or not, but like those type of players, I think those are they're going to add one of those type of players to this and think, oh, now we have some shooting, just like they addressed rim protection last offseason. And I think they're gonna call it good. As it's gonna be interesting. But yeah.
I think they have more up their sleeve this offseason. I don't know what. I think they have more up their sleeve, maybe in terms of trading a guy like Anfernee Simons, or trading for, and this kind of could go together, trading for somebody that's more impactful than a Corey Kispert. I don't know who, but they did it last year with Denny Avdia, right? So who knows who comes out of left field like Avdia did? We'll see. Now, you know what I'm most sure about, Eric? You know what I'm most sure about?
Let's segue this into Jerami Grant.
I am most sure that the Blazers are not going to get a first-round pick back for Jerami Grant. And we just need to have this conversation real quick, okay? Because I've seen fans start to talk about, like, oh, the Lakers want Jerami Grant, and it's, like, not even based off a report or anything. It's not even based off a Mark Stein article that listed him as a name to watch or anything. It's like, I don't even know where the Lakers Grant talk is coming from this time around. And it's like, fans talking about connect in a pick for Grant. There's a lot of Blazer fans that still seem to think that the Blazers can get back legitimate assets like first-round pick caliber value for Jerami Grant. And I am just baffled by that. The conversation about trading Jerami Grant is not about getting back assets. It's about getting back cap relief. Okay? I cannot understate that enough. If you are viewing a Jerami Grant trade this offseason in terms of like, man, I hope we can get back a first from this team. I hope we can get back a first from that team. I believe you're being too optimistic, too hopeful. Now, I'll sit here and say I'm wrong. I will own it if somehow Cronin pulls a magic rabbit out of his hat and trades Jerami for a first. It's not going to happen. I just don't see how this dude on this contract with his performance last year could net anything close to a first-round pick. So if you're hoping for a first-round pick, I think you're being a little too optimistic. You're going to be disappointed because either he's not going to get traded, or if he does get traded, you're not getting back a first-round pick. You should be very excited if the Blazers traded him for an expiring. If the Blazers trade Jerami Grant for an expiring, I don't care who that expiring is. Some fans will be like, why did we trade for this player? He's not any good. That's not the conversation. It's not about the assets that you're getting back for Jerami Grant. If you get cap relief, going into next offseason because you get an expiring, that's a win. That's what the conversations about trading Jerami Grant are about. Okay? The truth is he was awful last year. He's on a horrible contract. Teams aren't just going to trade first-round picks for a horrible contract like that. I can't remember the last time a team traded a first-round pick for a player that was as bad as Grant was last year that is on as bad of a contract that he's on. Like, who's comparable that got traded for a first-round pick?
I don't know. Kuzma.
Kuzma has 2 years and like $40 million left. Jerami Grant has 3 years and over $100 million left. That is like the closest thing, but Grant still has more than twice as much money left on his contract than Kuzma. And that trade also looks absolutely horrible.
Yeah. Grant does have a better reputation than Kuzma.
Yeah. But reputation doesn't mean anything when you're talking about over $100 million. Performance does. Teams are not going to pay that much money for somebody who doesn't perform just off of his rep, right? Like, so Westbrook from Houston.
When he was traded to the Wizards, yeah, that's a pretty good one. And then to the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about an all-star. He was an all-star that past year. He averaged 27 points, 8 boards, 7 assists when he got traded from Houston.
Terry Rozier.
He was third team All-NBA when he got traded from Houston. So I don't think Westbrook is a good comparison. Terry Rozier with $75 million and 3 years left. When he got traded to the Heat. When he got traded from Charlotte to the Heat?
If he had 2.5.
So you want to know his stats for Charlotte that season, Eric?
Oh, no, I know they're good.
23 points per game, 6.6 assists, 46% from the field, 36% from three. Like, that is miles better than Jerami Grant this past season. 23 points and 6.5 assists for Jerami Grant would be like his greatest season by far. You know? So, yeah, I don't think that's comparable either. Like, Grant last season. Just to remind you guys. Jerami Grant last season. Averaged 14.4 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 2 assists. Shot 37% from the field. He was a starting power forward in 32 minutes a game, averaging 3.5 rebounds and shooting 37% from the field. Like who making $32 million? What is it? His last 3 years? It goes. Where's his contract? $32 million, $34 million, $36.5 million. His last 3 years. Like, there is not a comparison for a team ever getting a first round pick back for that I can recall. And I asked chat to give examples, and it's like Russell Westbrook when he was an all-star and third-team All-NBA, or Terry Rozier in a season where he's averaging 23 points and 6.5 assists. Now I applaud Chad. I applaud the effort in trying to come up with a comparison. Right? I'm not roasting you. The point that I'm making is just it's impossible. You really have to stretch things to try and find a comparison for a player that got back value. Levine to Sacramento. What was Levine's stats in Chicago? He was averaging
they're pretty good this
24
year.
Points per game, 5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, shooting 51% from the field and 44.6% from three. 51% from the field, 44.6% from three. 24 points per game. Jerami Grant was averaging 14 points per game, 37% from the field, 35% from three. So, yeah, like not even Not even close. So that's just the reality of the situation. I just wanted to talk about it real quick because ultimately, like, I see a lot of fans starting to get their hopes up on the internet about the Blazers getting back picks for Jerami Grant. And yeah, we can all hope. I certainly hope. But we got to be more realistic here, man.
Yeah, so people in chat are saying that's because someone said there's multiple teams interested in Jerami Grant still and that he's going to have value.
BS. 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 I call BS.
You know, it's funny. I sent you this link, Tori, earlier. It was like some Lakers Twitter thing talking about wing targets for the Lakers, and Jerami Grant and Matisse Thybulle were both on them. I think
you could get back more for Thybulle.
Yeah, funny enough, a lot of the comments were like, "Oh, Thybulle would be a pretty good player." Yeah. But there was a Laker fan that says, "IDK what people see in Jerami Grant."
Yeah.
And then this dude responds, "Well, he played well in the bubble, LOL." I mean, like 5 years ago.
Just go listen to like good NBA podcasts the way they talk about Jerami Grant. And there is a question in chat. Miles Martin says, "Is there any hope Jeremy's season is contextualized in the eyes of other teams that this down year isn't indicative of him being washed?" Here's the thing, man. If you're going to pay somebody over $100 million over 3 years, you shouldn't need to be contextualizing anything. You should be able to say, like, yeah, this dude is performing. That's why we're going to willingly trade for this massive contract. When you start having to, like, contextualize things and ignore his whole previous season, like, in order to justify paying a guy that much, that's not easy. That's not easy. And definitely not easy to sell an ownership group on. So, yeah, like, we'll see if they get a first. But I'm telling you now, man, do not just go out there and believe just because a reporter said multiple teams are interested. Don't just automatically believe that he actually has value.
And it can be the classic case of multiple teams are interested because they think they're going to get assets for taking on his contract.
Yeah.
That could be true. That still means teams are interested. It just doesn't mean that they're interested in.
You know what the funny thing is implying that Jerami Grant has value and multiple teams are interested in him means that trading him for an expiring contract is a failure. That's what that implies. So that person, that reporter, is setting a higher bar for Joe Cronin this offseason than I am. Okay? And it's all to justify Joe Cronin giving him that contract in the first place. That's the funny thing when you start trying to act like Joe Cronin didn't make a mistake with the Jerami Grant contract. Then all of a sudden Joe Cronin has to live up to that and actually get something back for it to prove that it wasn't a mistake. You're ironically holding him to a higher standard. So, yeah. That's the other thing this offseason that's going to be fascinating to watch. Because if he's back on the team next season, Eric, I think it absolutely, without a doubt, proves that they could not get anything back for that contract. There's no way they go into next season with him if they can actually trade him for literally anything. Because he really struggled in this dynamic. He really struggled under the way they were trying to revamp their offseason or their offense or whatever. He's now the third best forward. He should not start. And he's making that much money and he shouldn't start. Like, there's no way the Blazers wouldn't just take the first exit off that freeway and just say, yeah, expiring contract, sure, we'll trade for an expiring contract so we don't have to justify paying this dude to come off the bench and probably struggle because he's coming off the bench, not played as much, not getting all his ISO possessions. Like, there is no way they don't take that out. So if he's still on the team, that proves to me they are stuck with him. And they will try and spin it, and other people will try and spin it after the offseason. Don't buy it.
Yeah. And just to reiterate, what I was told was that he probably doesn't get traded because of his contract, but it sounds like they will try to move him.
Of course they'll try. Yeah, they'll be.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it'd be far dumber of me to not try and move him compared to Anfernee Simons even. And I've been sitting here all stream saying, yeah, they should absolutely try and move Simons. So
I still think. I mean, this might be too creative, but I still think you basically give him to free to someone who's not going to re-sign one of their own free agents they have bird rights for, and like I'm not saying like Memphis would do this or whatever, but like Luke Kennard or whatever, just sign Luke Kennard to a 3-year, $90 million contract with the second 2 years non-guaranteed. He gets paid $30 million this year, so he'd accept that most likely. And you get basically a $30 million expiring contract and a shooter in return for Jerami Grant and get out of his contract. Like, I'm not saying that exact situation, but like that's the type of move that if the Blazers did get creative, they could kind of manufacture to a team that could then justify it by like saying, well, we didn't have to give up anything to get Jerami, so we can take that chance if we get stuck with this contract. At least we didn't give up picks or anything for him.
Yep. Just reading chat. Somebody or Gregory said you don't think Jerami would have helped Houston this year. Not this year's version of Jerami, definitely not. And if he didn't like his shot selection in Portland this year, he would have had the same shot selection in Houston. And who would he have played over? Like, I don't think he would have been any better than Jabari Smith was in this series, so I don't see why people think he would have helped Houston. Yeah, Jabari Smith in 20 minutes a game averaged a little bit more than 7 points per game. So, like, maybe those minutes go to Jerami. But Jabari Smith shot 45% from 3. Had 27 rebounds in 7 games. I don't know if Jeremy's ever done that. I'm over-exaggerating, but you get the point. Like, Buck and Odin says some team might get desperate to make a move. Some team overpays a free agent every year. Okay, well, then if that's the case and you think the Blazers can get a first for Jerami Grant, then show me a scenario where a player had as bad of a season as Jerami Grant and is on as big of a contract as Jerami Grant and then got traded for a first-round pick. If that actually happens, there should be a precedent for it. That's the thing. You can talk yourself into convincing yourself that Jerami can fetch a first because, like, man, it just takes one team, man. The team just has to be really desperate and really want him. And maybe that happens. Maybe that happens, man. But when there's been no precedent for it, and when you look at that contract and his production last year and he's on the wrong side of 30, I don't see how you come to the conclusion that that's going to happen. Not even close. So, yeah, like you're hoping for a player who has an expiring contract. I think that's the best case scenario. And I'd be very happy with that. Very, very happy with that. I think it solves the... Like, I think if Jerami Grant's here next year, I don't think he's going to necessarily cause problems, but I think his play is going to be a problem. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he's still young enough to have maybe a bounce back year, but
I just don't think he's going to have a bounce back year coming off the bench.
yeah.
And he already doesn't do little things. Like, his defense is already overrated. His rebounding sucks. Like, he doesn't pass. Kind of has tunnel vision. He already has all these issues, so...
I was saying maybe if he went to, like, a different team, had, like, kind of a different mindset on a team that was supposed to win. I don't know, maybe he would go back to doing some things.
I don't know, but it's just like he's taken the step to being a 20-point-per-game scorer. I think that's how he views himself now, you know? And I think that's why he didn't like not getting as many ISO looks and touches as a 20-point-per-game scorer should, you know? So I think that's why it was tough on him this year, whatever he said in his exit interview. So anyway, that's the reality of the situation. Don't just buy into a bunch of teams have interest in Jerami Grant. Like, yeah, okay, that's what we heard previously and he's still here. Like, why wasn't he traded before now then? Why is this still an issue then? Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Anyway, final thing for today's stream. We have 2 more tankathons left until the draft lottery. 6 days, 16 hours, 12 minutes, 51 seconds. We will be live streaming the draft lottery on Monday, May 12th. The lottery's at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure you tune in so you can react with us. Let's do our second to last sim. I just hope the Blazers move into the top 4 one of these final 2 sims. If not, it'd be a total buzzkill. Okay. 17% chance at the top 4. 3.7% chance of capturing the flag. Let's simulate the lottery and scroll up from the bottom. You guys know the deal. All right. At 14, we have the San Antonio Spurs. At 13, we have the Atlanta Hawks. At 12, we have the Chicago Bulls. At 11, we have the Dallas Mavericks. And at 10, we have the Portland Trail Blazers. At 9, we have the San Antonio Spurs. Man, ever since the coin flip, we've just been repeatedly kicked in the nuts, man.
Houston's going to add that player they need.
All because we had to beat the Lakers on the final game of the regular season, so we could say we won 36 games, so we could help the narrative. Brutal. We'll see where they end up in the top 4. At 8, we have Toronto. At 7, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder. Philadelphia moving down 2 spots. We keep getting the Thunder and Spurs picking in front of us. Well, the Spurs are going to pick in front of us no matter what, unless we jump up. But we keep getting Philadelphia falling to 7, so we have OKC in front of us, and then Houston jumping to the top 4. Hopefully the one on Thursday goes better than this. And maybe we'll do a final one on Monday before the actual lottery. At 6, we have New Orleans. At 5, we have Washington. At 4, we have the Houston Rockets. At 3, we have the Brooklyn Nets. At 2, we have the Charlotte Hornets, which means Cooper Flag goes to Utah.
Again.
Could you imagine Edgecombe and Amen Thompson together? The athleticism and defense between those two would be insane. It's cool to see Amen break out, though, man.
And Queen's going 7 to OKC. There's your power forward toughness you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Maluach is going 8 to Toronto. Knippel's going 9 to San Antonio. Trey Johnson's going top 6. So is Bailey, Edgecombe, Flag, Harper. I think the wild card, I think Trey Johnson goes 5 to Washington. I think the wild card is who does New Orleans take at 6, because like Queen, Maluach, they could go center again, but they have Yves Missy, who was good last year. So I think in this scenario, that 6th pick would be the interesting one. Although maybe Washington passes on Trey Johnson for someone, who knows? Who knows?
As Elizabeth Allen brings up, apparently media got to attend a Trey Johnson workout, and they've all been going goo goo gaga over him since then.
How many workouts does this media attend? Like Sam Vecini, does he attend a lot of workouts? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Because like if it's your first workout ever, yeah, it'd be amazing, because these players in an empty gym literally don't miss. And Trey Johnson especially is a gifted shooter, man. It just comes down to like, yeah, he's gonna look really good in an open gym. He's gonna make an insane amount of jumpers. He's gonna, have some drives against air defenders and dunk. Like, yeah, he's gonna look great. But in a game, can he actually turn the corner against real defense? Because he struggled with that in college. It's only gonna be tougher in the league. And if he can't get downhill, then he's kind of just relegated to being a jump shooter, and he can definitely be a really good jump shooter, but if you're hoping he becomes a star, like, he has to be able to create and get downhill and put pressure on the rim and collapse defenses and be crafty in that area. And that's the question mark with him. If he can, he could end up being the second best player from this class. But yeah. Anyway, I'm kind of excited to be done with Tankathon, man. This is BS.
We just moved down to 11, bro. Sacramento moved up 10 spots? Come on, bro. Get that crap off my screen.
All right. There, look, there's a third pick.
No, you take it.
There's a third pick. You know, we also have San Antonio up here with us, but, you know, we'll take it. We'll take it. Anyway. Those were not official Tankathon Sims. This was an official BetUS stream, though. Eric, final thoughts?
Thanks, everyone, for watching. Appreciate you all. Hope to see you on Hoops Crush on Wednesday night and back here on Blazers Uprise Live on Thursday night.
Yeah, we'll see what we have to talk about. If not, maybe we'll take your questions. I said we were going to do so tonight. I said it was going to be a shorter stream, and then it's an hour and 45 minutes, but that's what happens when we start talking about Anfernee Simons and Jerami Grant. So hopefully, you know, they'll continue to give us content, I guess. But hopefully we'll have some new things to talk about Thursday. We'll see what the rumor mill churns up. At least after the lottery, we'll have the draft combine, so we get to talk about prospects. Maybe do another big board and do like a mock draft and look at measurements and all that stuff. So that'll be a big week for the draft next week. Anyway. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Click the join button to become a member. We appreciate that. Hit the like button. Let's get it to 100 likes before we're out of here. Hit the subscribe button. All that good stuff.
Apparently, according to Matt, we'd love Aiden now. I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah. I don't even want to go there. We're out of here. Have a good rest of your nights. Until next time. As always, peace out. Go Blazers!